Hi guys, my name is Andre.
My name is Hamad.
This is post 4 and today we're talking about client testing and how to set up a proper program for your client, whether it's strength and conditioning, hypertrophy, or endurance. So starting with tests, you're going to test your client prior to writing the program or beginning exercise with them. You're going to test them aerobically, you're going to test their strength, power, muscular endurance, test their posture and functional movement screen. This test will help you set up a program. Now, which test you're going to administer to them depends on their health condition, their training level, their training status, and their personal goal with you.
Also, you might want to have them go through a Part Q form, get their medical history, so that way, even before you get them in the session, you can see if they have potential for risk, and then if they haven't gotten checked out and cleared by a doctor, they can go ahead and do that. So you might also want to consider doing a functional movement screen on them, so FMS. This will help you kind of gauge what kind of risk for injury they have during resistance training. Also, you might want to consider testing them for height, weight, body fat, and their blood pressure. It's especially very important just to see if they have any potential risk for hypertension. So they might have to get medical clearance before they actually see you and begin resistance training, for example.
So now that you've looked at their Part Q forms and their health risk assessment, you can see if they have any specific health conditions that might affect the way they need to exercise, and you're responsible to learn most of the things about this health condition and the contraindications and proper guidelines to administering exercise for them, just so you ensure that the client is the safest as possible while doing this exercise and gets the best out of their workout.
So let's say, for example, your client had a shoulder injury and is starting to come to you for training after they've gone through physical therapy and all that. So it would be a good idea for you to actually get into contact with their physical therapist and get a written consent form from your client, consenting that you're able to receive that information that they have from the physical therapist. Kind of work with the physical therapist and coming up with exercise programs for your client, so that way you're kind of working together with the physical therapist to come up with a better program for them, which is safe and effective.
The question is whether you have to test every single person you work with, and the answer is not necessarily. It depends on the individual. Like, it is a good idea just so you get baseline markers of where you want to start their program, and so that you can show them progress, how they've improved throughout their exercise time with you, which may be a good indicator for them to keep training with you or how they've improved. Also, if you are working with an athlete, whether it be endurance, power, or sport, these are very important markers because you want to be training at that capacity where they're going to get the most improvement out of their functional programs. So depending on the population you're working with, if it's someone who's sedentary or doesn't have a lot of exercise experience, you're not going to test them to a full 1RM test. So you might use a calculated 1RM, which you can look up a protocol for different exercises that you can test the 1RM, but usually you test them like 10 rep max to 5 RM, and then you calculate it based on a given equation. There are a wide variety. Also for endurance testing, you're not necessarily going to have access to a metabolic cart, which is quite an expensive piece of equipment, so you can administer certain tests like the 1.5 mile run, 6 minute mile run, stuff like that, which kind of gives you a baseline indication of where they are at.
It'll give you basically a predicted VO2 rather than a very specific number for their VO2 max. So the first thing you want to figure out with your client is to find out what kind of exercises or programs they're interested in. So it might be they're more interested in body weight training, more resistance training, they're more into high interval training, or you could even take into account what sports they're interested in. Maybe they're interested in basketball, you can incorporate basketball into a warm-up or something like that, just to keep them actively engaged in the program and make it more fun for them. You want to reverse design the program, so you want to take into account time, because that's going to be the biggest factor for a lot of these clients is time. They're going to be limited on it, so you can't go ahead and make a full-blown out program for them without considering their time and what you have to work with.
Another big factor is how many days they have with you as a trainer. If they have one day a week with you, you may want to start like with a full body workout just so you kind of get them used to the exercises that you are going to be giving them. So when they are doing them on their own, they're doing them correctly and efficiently, and they're not putting themselves at risk for injury.
So you would also want to use the program guidelines that's provided by your national certification that you might have. So maybe it's ACSM or ACE. Just go ahead and follow that. A lot of the books already have all that information in there.
Don't be afraid to look back at information that you're supposed to know. I mean, passing the exam is one thing. You're not gonna memorize the whole book. If you do need help, just don't be afraid to look. So one thing that can make you stand out as a personal trainer is creating your own exercise manual. You can do this just by typing out the exercise you usually give out and then giving some certain instructions or doing pictures and just giving to your clients. This would be specifically very helpful when they're alone and maybe they're confused. They don't know what to do, they forgot. They can just look back. You can give it to them on their phone or a printed copy. This is very useful. Also, when designing a program, be sure to follow the SAID principle. Specific adaptation due to imposed demands. You want to make sure you're consistently overloading the muscle of the client or their aerobic capacity just so they're progressing.
So it's a gradual increase in their volume. So you want to make sure you're doing sets times reps times weight and calculating that out for each workout session to see how much they're increasing each workout. So that way you know they're actually increasing and not decreasing.
Incorporating a periodization in your program can also help kind of avoid mental fatigue or boredom, because doing the same thing over and over and over can get tiring for people. Remember, the clients you get are not going to be necessarily people who really enjoy exercise. They're here to train with you for a reason.
So you really want to keep track of your client's progress by actually taking down what they're actually doing in the gym. So this could be done by entering it into Excel. Would be a very good idea, because from that you can make graphs out of it, and that'll show them how much they've actually increased and if they're actually doing well. And you can print this out and give it to them and show them their progress and what they're actually doing, because sometimes they might feel like they're not actually making any progress, but once you show them that chart, they're going to get really motivated.
And guys, cannot overstate how important Excel is to a personal trainer. If you don't know it well, you should probably learn. There's YouTube tutorials on it. Excel is great. You can create a data bank of exercise you give, and it's so easy to keep track of what people are doing. Instead of carrying out notebooks and papers like that, you can just carry out like a simple iPad or like any kind of tablet and keep track of the workouts they're doing. It takes only like 3 or 4 minutes to do something like that, but the impression you're going to make on a client is tremendous.
They're going to really notice how much you care about them, because you're actually taking the time out and charting this out for them, and they're going to feel very great about themselves.
And another thing is you can always keep an open line of communication with your client, whether it's email, text, or call. So if they are stuck on something and they have a quick question, they can just shoot you a text or email and ask you. And make sure you keep it professional, guys.
Next thing you really want to take into consideration is being adaptable in the gym, which is very, and we can't stress this enough, is super important for you to be adaptable in the gym environment. This is because there's so many people already working out in the gym, and if you have a written program down and you're like, okay, we're going to do bench press first, and all the bench presses are taken. What do you do next? You're going to have a substitute workout for them so that they're hitting their chest in a different way with a different workout. So you're going to have to be really adaptable and adapt with the environment of the gym and the gym flow. And you also want to have modifications in your back pocket as well, because there might be a case where your client slept wrong on their shoulder isn't feeling well in a certain direction. So you're going to have to come up with a modification to kind of help them still do the workout, but in a different way that doesn't irritate their shoulder, for example.
Guys, make sure you know your anatomy somewhat, if not like a lot, because if someone is having pain doing lunges or something, you can modify that exercise for them to kind of take away their pain depending on the way they're doing it. They might be feeling pain in the left side of the knee, the right side. Make sure you know how to alter the exercises to make it comfortable for people.
So today we have joining us is Georgios. Georgios is going to go ahead and talk about a little bit about himself and his research.
Hi guys, thank you so much for your invitation today. My name is Georgios and I'm a third year PhD student at UIC, and I work at a cardiovascular exercise laboratory.
So what are some main things you want to consider when coming up with an exercise program for your client?
Okay, so it's very important when you have the client to go through and learn about medical conditions that potentially I'm gonna have. That's why the screening protocols that already have been used are very important to start with. Also very important is to start with a posture assessment, which can reveal any weaknesses of the muscles in your body, and by revealing these weaknesses, you can prescribe specifically resistance exercise.
What are some common mistakes some people might do when creating an exercise program?
One common mistake is that when you don't take into account the distortions that the client might have. For example, if a client has already very tight muscles and you prescribe contraction to this muscle, then you're gonna make this problem worse. And the opposite, when a client has a very lengthened muscle and you prescribe stretching, then again you make this problem worse and you don't help to solving this distortion. Also, a very common mistake is when you set unrealistic goals for your client. Your goals should be specific and based on his or her fitness level.
So guys, the main point, remember, test your clients, make sure you're testing them appropriately to what their fitness level is. Make sure you write the program according to their time availability and the sessions they have with you. Write down their progress, keep track of what they're doing.
Go above and beyond what other trainers are doing to help you stand out from everybody else.
And the most important thing that we touched on last, be adaptable in the gym. Make sure you have alternative programs for them, make sure you have alternative exercises.
That concludes our 4th episode. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you guys, we appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on episode 5.